Star Trek. More the serpent than the dove. Story by John Byrne. Based on Star Trek. Created by Gene Roddenberry. Story adaptation and additional segments by Kenneth Thompson. All celebrity voices impersonated using voice.ai.
Captain's log, stardate 3391.6. USS Enterprise holding at the boundary of Gorn space. We have been here for 17 hours.
Here they come, Captain.
Nice of them to finally show up. I've been in this monkey seat far too long.
Range, Mr. Chekhov.
125 meters, sir.
That's way too close, Captain. But they just dropped out of hyperspace without warning. Should I back away to a safe distance?
Hold our position, Mr. Suden. If we back away, the Gorn will interpret it as a weakness on our part. Spock, Bones, let's get to the transporter room. Mr. Scott will be waiting for us.
Are you sure this is a good idea, Jim? After what the Gorns did on Sisters 3?
Starfleet has negotiated a temporary truce with them Bones. We're here to see that it becomes permanent. This region of space borders the Romulan Star Empire. It's unstable enough without adding the unpredictability of the Gorns.
But their savagery on Earth colonies in the past, even before Sisters 3, hardly seems like they want peace.
There are factions in the Gorn Alliance that do want peace, Doctor. Primarily the Confederation. The past encounters with the Gorn were with an entirely different offshoot species. Their brutality was in part due to a self-replicating genetic virus that attacked them and mimicked their DNA. The Gorn refer to these beings as the Tainted. The Enterprise encountered this offshoot initially, years before the Cestus 3 attack.
Nice of you to tell us about it when we were chasing that ship down 6 months ago.
I was unaware of the Gorn's identity until they were revealed by the Metrons. By then, Jim was already on the planet facing the Gorn Captain.
Bones, he gave me a full report when things settled down. To be fair, the Gorn I faced wasn't what I expected from the reports I had read. The Gorn have been a mystery for as long as we've known about them. We've still got a lot to learn. But it did explain your hesitancy when we were chasing them down, Spock.
After what we learned about the Tainted Gorn Captain and what they were dealing with 10 years ago, I considered caution appropriate. Their replicative proclivity was not dissimilar from Tribble's.
Tribbles? Not the way Chapel tells the story. I read about that virus. Let me just say these Gorn had better be inoculated against it. I'm not gonna have lizards infecting this crew with a deadly xenomorph plague.
I have it on good authority the Gorn Alliance has all but eradicated the plague. Much of what we were dealing with was classified.
Since when did you start working with Starfleet intelligence, Spock? Hell, with all the secrets you're keeping these days, I think Jim should see if you're part of Section 31.
Really, Doctor?
Bones, that's enough. We've all had secrets we've had to keep. We're here. Let's beam the Gorn delegation aboard. Mr. Scott?
I dinna like it, Captain. If we must have these murderers aboard, can we at least not stand them on our guard?
I'm not too crazy about the idea myself, Scotty, but protocol is protocol. Beam the ambassador and her party over.
The Gorn courier has transmitted the coordinates, Mr. Scott. We are locked onto their signal.
Aye, we're ready. Beam them aboard, lass.
Aye, sir.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Welcome aboard the USS Enterprise. My crew looks forward to assisting you in any way we can.
Doctor, which one do you reckon is the ambassador?
We thank you, Captain Kirk. It is a great honor to meet you. I am Delegate Crassus, and this is Ambassador Shragus. We represent the Confederation. And Stas and Sarkos represent the hegemony.
I must also express the honor in meeting you, Captain. In the short time since the first encounter of our races, your name has become a legend among my people. Your display of mercy towards a fallen enemy was extraordinary.
Mercy. She uses the word like she's nae heard it before.
It is not a concept with which my race has much familiarity, crewman. We apply mercy only when it is expedient to do so.
This is my Chief Engineer, Lieutenant Commander Scott. I apologize if his words in some way offended. I'm sure you were not meant to hear them.
Really, you disappoint me, Captain Kirk. You will find we Gorn prefer always to speak bluntly. We do not cloak our thoughts in whispers.
Ambassador, it is late by our time. We should retire to our cabins.
Do you always keep your ship so cold, Captain Kirk?
The temperatures maintained at an average comfort level for humans. However, these quarters we have ready for you are 70 degrees warmer.
Then I will be spending the entire voyage here, you would see.
Ambassador, you must be on the bridge later for your official communication with...
Do not fuss, Crassus. I know my duty.
Yes, Ambassador.
Very well then, Ambassador. I will send someone to escort you to the bridge at 1800 hours.
Thank you, Captain Kirk.
Boy, they just don't get along with anybody, do they? Not even their own.
I still don't understand why we have to ferry them to this conference. They have warp drive.
The Gorn government and the Federation agree that fewer Gorn mean less chance for sabotage. So we were picked to carry this small party.
Their request is logical, Mr. Scott. Factions of the Gorn Alliance are opposed to this treaty. This way, we should minimize problems.
Captain's log supplemental. The Gorn ambassador's party was safely aboard, but what we could not know then was that one among that party was a saboteur, bent on the destruction of the mission and the ship. Welcome to the bridge, Ambassador. I apologize for the cold.
Thank you, Captain.
Mr. Spock.
What is it, Mr. Chekhov?
Sir, I am losing power on my navigation beam. Range decreasing fast.
Sir, the same thing is happening to my own controls. I'm blind on all sides.
Captain, we're losing communications too.
What is happening, Captain?
We'll know in a moment, Ambassador. Scotty?
Audit, Captain. The faults are originating with primary induction circuits. It's like some kind of a virus infecting all the systems.
We're picking up steam, Mr. Spock.
This is not good. There is a Gorn sabotage device that has exactly that effect.
Are you saying that a member of your party is most likely a saboteur?
Captain, the warp engines are built to overload at much more than an hour before they blow.
Is there nothing you can do, Scotty?
Not from here, sir. I need to get down to engineering to be able to handle this anything like properly.
All right, go.
Ambassador, my training is in engineering. I may be able to help.
Go with him.
Captain, you cannot let this salamander have the earn of engineering. He could be the saboteur.
I can assure you I am not Mr. Scott. As I can assure you I know far more about Gorn technology than you.
Captain,
I'm sorry, Scotty, but he's right. You don't know Gorn technology. You could spend all the time we have left figuring out what to look for. Escort our guest down to engineering.
Roger, report. What's our status?
Not good, Mr. Scott. The warp engine power is continuing to spike and is pushing up levels on all the integrated systems.
All right. We'll shunt power through auxiliary servos and...
No!
Deflector shield failure. Lethal radiation levels. Fatal exposure, 26 minutes.
Warning. The structural integrity field has collapsed. Hull breach in 2 minutes.
Systems are still running toward overload all over the ship. Captain, if Mr. Scott does not do something soon, I cannot calculate the consequences.
Sir, we're still running blind, but calculations based on our previous course, plus our increasing speed, we're going to dive straight into Capricanus Major in less than 19 minutes.
There is a more immediate concern, Captain. Stress levels are building rapidly throughout the ship. Large sections of the outer hull are weakening. Tolerance is being greatly exceeded.
Is there nothing we can do, Spock?
No, Captain Kirk. This is how the weapon works, Captain. Waves of shifting and contrary stress are sent through the ship until it tears itself apart.
What the devil was that? Whoever's close, check the antimatter induction coils.
That won't be necessary, Mr. Scott. What we just felt was a chemical reaction to the weapon increasing its effect. At any moment, hull integrity will be breached.
All right, listen. That's twice you've contradicted me and from my stuff. You'd better start making yourself useful around here.
Mr. Scott, hull integrity rupture point on deck 5.
Try to wrap a deflector shield around the weakened area. Hold it together.
Breach on deck 5, sir. The hull is not sealing automatically.
Close all manual bulkheads. Engineering. Scotty, report.
We're doing all that we can, Captain. Closing the manual bulkheads has reduced atmosphere loss, but it's nae stopped it. We are still losing air, and fast.
Mr. Scott, it will not be possible to correct all these faults one at a time. The sabotage device must be located and disarmed.
Located? Are you out of your mind? Do you know how long it would take to search a ship this size?
I do. We must pray that fortune's on our side. And Mr. Scott, tell the search parties that if they find the device, under no circumstances are they touching. Not until I get there.
Deck 5 rupture is sealed off.
Damage control parties begin search for Gorn device. It is described as a small box approximately the size of a tricorder. If found, report to Mr. Scott immediately. Do not touch the device.
Entering routing conduits, deck 6, aft section.
Transporter circuits shorting out.
Bridge, phaser bank, power fluctuating. We're trying to shunt the power off, but it's building to overload.
Bridge, we're having trouble with environmental systems. It's about to get really hot across the ship.
Security reporting from the lower decks. No sign of any devices, but there's a loud rattle near the main power junctions.
Mr. Scott.
Scott here. What have you got, Mr. Harper?
My crew is up in the main routing conduits. There's something you should see, sir.
McCoy to bridge. Jim, we're over 100 degrees on every deck. You've got to do something before we all cook.
We're aware of the problem, Bones. Spock, what can we do?
Nothing, Captain. All of our control systems have been taken over by the device. It will be up to Mr. Scott and his men and the Gorn to correct the problem before we either burn up or plunge into the star. Both scenarios would produce the same results.
That's it? That piddling little thing has been causing all of this? All right, Lizard Man. How do we disconnect it?
Disconnecting it would not serve any purpose, Mr. Scott. There are only 2 bars left on its countdown. That means it has fully integrated with your ship's systems. Even if the device itself is disconnected, the destructive cycle will continue. Unless...
Bones, I thought the turbo lifts were out.
Not yet, it would seem. But they won't do as much good if we don't do something about the heat. Jim, half my staff is prostrate with the heat. And on the way here, I passed dozens of people passed out in the corridors. Who knows how many are affected in total.
Come on, if we are to do what you say we should do, we need...
Mr. Scott, are you all right?
I'm fine. It's this blasted heat. If we could just have a break from it for a few minutes.
I confess I do not feel it. Can you still get to our destination?
Of course, it's right here. But now that I look at you next to it, do you think you'll even fit?
I must.
Then I'll go first.
Lieutenant Uhura, are you all right?
It's the heat. I don't know how much more I can take.
Get her to her seat, Spock. None of us should be moving around any more than we have to.
Sir, calculating 10 minutes to impact.
If you're right, Lizard, we can regain control by diverting the control circuits, running all the commands through systems intended for other purposes entirely.
Yes, but it is only a theory.
I'll take it over to the alternative. Now, right here is the shaky bit.
Mr. Scott.
Stupid. I knew it would do that. Now I can't move my hand.
You must tell me what to do next.
No. How do I know yet are not the saboteur? We'll use this chance to destroy the ship.
You don't.
Captain's log, Stardate 3391.9. First Officer Spock and myself are the only members of the bridge crew who have not succumbed to the heat. The Gorn ambassador and her party are unaffected by the heat. I hope that is also the case with the Gorn. My company, Engineer Scott.
I calculate less than 4 minutes before we pass the point of no return, Captain. If Mr. Scott can restore control in that time,
we'll still have a chance to save ourselves. Ironic, isn't it? With systems failing, we have all frozen to death by now. Diving into the star has kept us alive.
What next, Mr. Scott?
You'll have to cross the connections on the Mart G3 and M14 setups, then layer out the power into the new circuit. Hurry!
Captain, systems returning to full function in sections 5, 9, and 12. Now in sections 1, 7, and 8.
It's getting cooler. Sulu, Chekhov, wake up. We need you.
Hey, and the day, Captain.
So am I, but I've got access to the engines again, but only for speed. I still can't steer.
The modified circuits are not accepting the full power load. Perhaps if I shift to these parallel circuits.
No. If you do that, you'll risk blowing up half the ship.
Not if I balance the flow through the interface couplings.
What? That's never been done. But it's crazy enough to work. Do it.
Sir, I have helm control back.
Hard to starboard.
Turning, Captain.
But Captain, we are too deep in the star's gravity band. We are still being pulled in.
Captain, we may be able to escape the star's gravity by increasing engine power to 120%.
Won't that throw us into another damn time war?
Not without a parabolic arc boost. Increase engine power, Mr. Sulu.
Aye, aye, sir.
What is he doing up there? Bridge, this has got delay and current action. I didn't think the engines can take it.
No choice, Mr. Scott. Might be time for a few prayers.
It's working, Captain.
Clear of the star's gravity, Captain.
All systems showing stable, sir.
And now, Ambassador, there's the matter of your saboteur.
Yes, Sarkos, it can only be you. And Stas has already cleared himself by his actions. And I would trust Crassus with my life.
He's out, but only just. We'd better get him to the brig pronto.
My most abject apologies for this, Captain Kirk.
All's well that ends well, Ambassador Shrackus. At least you'll still find the ship's temperature to be comfortable for a while. Scotty, what do you have to tell me?
All stable, Captain. We should have the ship's functions back to normal within 48 hours. And you lied. I know I was a wee bit harsh at first, but that was some of the finest engineering work I've ever seen. If there's anything I can do for you, just name it.
Well, now that you mention it, after a day like today, I could use a drink.
I'm glad that's over. Seems like every time we get involved in a diplomatic situation, people die.
I know what you mean, Bones. I had to pretend casualties don't matter. It was all I could do not to lay into the Gorn ambassador for bringing a saboteur aboard my ship and causing the deaths of some of my crew.
I know, Chove.
Just don't tell me I told you so.
You know I wouldn't do that, Captain. Tempting as it is. You do what you have to do, and it's a damn good thing you do. Preventing another war. That's the best thing any man can do, and very few can.
Kirk here.
News from Clan Haven, Captain. It would appear that at least for now, the ceasefire has become permanent.
Hedging your bets, Spock?
No, Doctor. A treaty has been signed, but when illogical beings are involved, lasting peace is never guaranteed.
How are those ship repairs going?
Mr. Scott has repaired the external hull breach, but he says we will need time in space dock for more extensive repairs.
All right then, if our business at Clan Haven is done, set course for Starbase 11.
Understood. Spock out.
Well, Bones, I'm going to need to write some letters of condolences.
Well, let me know if you need anything, Jim.
Nothing right now, Bones. Good night.
Good night, Jim.